Sourdough bread step-by-step same-day baking guide. So we're starting with nice, active, bubbly starter. It's at its peak rise. We're pouring 150 grams of that, which is basically the whole jar, into our nice bowl. I would like to scrape all the edges and get all of it in there. And I'm like not a perfect sourdough baker. I kind of just go with the flow. You think there's none left, but wait, you're going to push it all down. You'll have just enough to feed and start again. We're next going to add 350 grams of water, whisk that together till it gets to be like a nice frothy milk consistency, and then we are going to add 500 grams of King Arthur bread flour. That's just my preference. I just get as close as I can to 500. I'm not a perfect baker. 8 grams of salt going in there, and then we are going to stir. Yes, I use a plastic spatula. I just do whatever works for me. And you really don't need the fancy equipment to get started. It is really hard to mix, but I do not like touching this stuff with my hands. At the very end, I do go in with a wet hand and mix it a little bit and knead it with my own hands. You're going to have a nice shaggy, wet looking dough. Cover that sucker up with a wet towel and let it rest on your counter for 1 hour. Now we're going to feed our starter that we have left on the counter. So I do like a 1-to-1 ratio, the same amount of flour, the same amount of water. I do use all-purpose flour in my starter and bread flour in my baking, about 60 or 70 grams of each. And then you're going to stir that sucker up real good. Use a spatula to push the sides down. And then I just set the lid of my mason jar on top to cover it up. Now uncover our bread. It's been an hour. With wet hands, you're going to start your stretch and fold. So stretch that dough right up, pull it down, give the bowl a quarter turn. You're going to do that in every direction. So 4 stretch and folds total. And then you're going to let your dough rest for 30 minutes in between. Now your dough is going to be building some tension. So as you go, it's going to get harder and harder. And your dough is going to be more ball shaped every single time. So you'll do your sets of stretch and folds 3 times total. And then this is my last one. You can see it's really hard. It's not stretching at all. It looks like a nice little ball. I'm going to let that sucker rest for 4 to 6 hours till it doubles in size and is very jiggly, as you can see there. And then you flip the bowl over. You want it to fall naturally out of there. This is a freaking arm workout, so we're fast forwarding. I got that dough out of the bowl, and you can see it's really super bubbly. I'm stretching it out into a rough shape of a rectangle before I put it into a ball. So just do the best you can. You're going to fold it like that in thirds, and then fold it in thirds the other way, and we're going to start shaping this sucker. So you kind of push it and then pull it like a candy cane shape. Push and pull. And I go pretty slow. Usually this is sped up. I don't want my dough to tear, so I pull super slow towards the end, because you don't want the surface tension to break on your dough. So you can see that's a big bubble. And then I got a little tiny tear, so I stopped. And then I'm going to let this rest on the counter while I preheat my oven with my Dutch oven inside at 450 degrees. My oven's ready. I'm going to give her one more quick shape, again, being really careful and try not to tear the surface. And then I'm going to go in with a wet bread lathe and do my cuts. Now, the wet knife is literally the key for me and making these cuts so much better and so much easier. So then plop her on some wax paper, get my Dutch oven out of the hot oven. Baking at 450 for 25 minutes with the lid on, 25 minutes with the lid off, and then she is all done. Look at how stunning she is. She has a nice crispy crust. She tastes amazing, and this is just the basics. You know, you can do this. You got this, girl. Just go for it. Give it a try. It's so much fun and so satisfying.